joins the Coal River. And there are, the Elk River up here, but there are several, they call the Coal, the Big Coal, and the Little Coal. And back in the 1850s, there was, that's the site of this country's first commercially operated lock and dam system. Y'all know what a lock and dam system is? It's like what they have at the Suez Canal, too, where the water is brought in and the ships rise, and then so they can go from higher ground to lower ground, but floating all the time. And back in those days, the river boats were each had a captain, and the captains were called pilots as well, river pilots. And they all went by their first name as opposed to their last name. Like if I was a captain, my name would be Captain Roger, not Captain Rabalais, as it is today usually. But there were, and it so happened that on the Coal River in that day, in those times, there were three very busy, the three most busy or busiest river pilots, and they were in high demand, were three fellows, all named William, first name William or Bill, and one was William Griffith. But all three of those fellows each had a nickname, and nicknames were given to people by their personality at that time, or their infamy. And one was known as Lion Captain Bill, the other was known as Fighting Captain Bill, and the other was known as Drinking Captain Bill. And it came to be that they all three answered to any of those names because they were interested in being busy. Didn't matter. I can captain your boat for you. But so I did some research. I was asked to write a song about the Coal River by the Coal River Group, and went onto the internet and found a picture of a fellow looks like Devil Lynch Hatfield, those long beards and the gray tone, and it was Captain Bill Griffith. And I've performed this song in that area before, and even here in Charleston too. And it's not uncommon for someone to walk up to me after the song and say, "You just sang a song about my grandfather," or in some cases, I'm one of his nephews. But his name was Captain Bill Griffith. On Briar Creek at Meadow Fork in the West Virginia woods, inside an open cabin door, his mom and daddy stood. They bowed their heads and closed their eyes and thanked the Lord above. The brand new bouncing baby boy was delivered by their love, and the baby grew. His legend too. By no surprise, at just 14, he took to river floating. He set out soon to make his name among those river boatmen. He found a boat and took an oath to captain for its owner, and then straddled keel behind the wheel and paddle boat paid tone of the river flow. And so it goes that he was one of the most famous captains. He was born and raised in West Virginia, neath the white oak tree. First to float the locks and dams and navigate those big log jams, they floated right on down the Mississippi. Lying, fighting, drinking, Captain Bill, the son of these West Virginia hills. He charted courses never mapped, and the most famous sternboat captain, story told is still a legend in these hills. Lying, fighting, drinking, Captain Bill. It came one day, that river gate, swirling like a cauldron. They tied up late and had to wait to float into St. Albans. Sleeping tight, the crew that night was taken by surprise. A flash flood came in at midnight, and they saw that river rise, and the river rose out of control. And like a child, the boat ran wild, its moorings broken, soaking. But Captain Bill was fighting still, his courage was unbroken. He rolled and shivered right down that river. He was swimming with those fishes and tied up safe at Big Coal's mouth without a broken fish. He's a legend still. Up in these hills, through 2 or 3. First float the locks and dams and navigate those big log jams. He floated right on down the Mississippi, lying, fighting, drinking Captain Bill, the son of these West Virginia hills. He charted courses never mapped, and the most famous stern-wheel captain, story told is still a legend in these hills, lying, fighting, drinking Captain Bill. Charted courses never mapped, and the most famous stern-wheel captain, story told is still a legend in these hills, lying, fighting, drinking, cold and wet and stinking, lying, fighting, drinking Captain Bill. And that's a true story.